Okay, inkproducts.com is going to show you how to install our continuous ink supply system on the Canon models listed in this video. First thing we're going to do, turn on the printer, let the cartridge assemblies come over, and then unplug the printer. Now you can move this cartridge assembly by hand. First thing we're going to do is our new Executive Series 2 continuous ink supply system. We've added a couple of features that the older models did not have. They both work exactly the same, except we've added a few extra features that make it easier to maintain the continuous ink system. There's the parts for these particular models that we're going to show you. We have the lid standoff, the lid bypass, the interlock jumper, the hose bracket, T-hose bracket. This is going to hold the lid stand up. We'll show you. The gaskets, the purge tool, and glue dots should you have to install your Canon chips. And we got these all laid out. There's the continuous ink system. Okay, now we're going to start with step 1. Now in step 1, it tells you to bring the cartridge assembly over and remove the cartridges. We've already done that. Now, the next step is we're going to install the gaskets. You can do it in the printer, on the print head, in the printer, as we show, or you can take the print head out. And the Canon print head, if you lift the lever, you can reach in and remove the print head. This makes it easier. Okay, now I've lined up all the gaskets. I'll take the first gasket and I'll install it in the print head. Take your time. You want to get it down over like that. You're going to do them all the same way, and there's a larger one for the big black. Okay, now the gaskets are installed. We can put the print head back in the printer. Take your time, and don't knock the gaskets loose. There you go, right in. Close the lid. Make sure that, so it's seated down in there, it looks good. Okay, now we're going to go to the next step, which is going to be step 3. Okay, on step 3, we're going to check, open up the lid, and check to make sure all the plugs are in. Make sure all of them in, they've got to be in. Then we're going to balance it. We're going to do the balancing of the ink with the air chamber. Right here is a little card, shows you how to refill the bottles later on. So now that I know they're in, you close it, make some room, and I'm going to rock it. Just like this. That's going to equalize both chambers. I can stand it up. Now, in step 4, here's the hose clamp. Comes in the open position. We're going to clamp it closed. Push it all the way. Now it's closed. That's so no ink, or a lot of ink, won't drip out. Because sometimes when you take these off, ink wants to gush out. So we do that. I just want to point out, when you're printing, this must be open. If you forget to open it, you could damage the print head. So that was step 4 and 5. Now let's go to step 6. Okay, now we're going to go to step 6, and we're going to remove the orange clips and install the cartridges. And now I'm going to get a piece of paper towel. I'm going to put it here, and I'm going to put the cartridges up here so I can take the orange clip off the cartridges. Now I put the cartridges up here. They're a little bit higher than the ink bottles. Now just take your time, because they unsnap from the front and then they pull off the back. You might want to have some paper towel handy in case some ink comes out the bottom of the exit port. So take your time. Now you can see on the black there's a little ink. Now if you don't want to get ink on your hands, use a pair of rubber gloves, because sure enough you're going to get some ink on you. So as you do this, you just watch to make sure it's not flooded with ink. There again, I snap the front and I slide it off the back. You want to save these orange clips because you'll need them should you ever have to prime the system. You want to put them back on. So if you take your time, they come right off. Now you can see there's some ink just sitting at that exit port. That's what I use a paper towel for, to blot it out. This way it's going to be less ink all over when you go to put them in. And there again, I've got them in the correct order. We're going to pick them up and I'm going to slide them right in. And all the colors match the color sequence of the printhead. I've got yellow, the large black, cyan, magenta, and black. Now some printers are different color combinations, so make sure you have it set right. Now I've got them in. Got to push them forward and then click them in. You'll know when you get it right. Sometimes you got to see, like that black didn't go in that time, so I'll skip over to the yellow. There you go. There you go. Now I got the black. You got it. Now, because this printer has a brace, I'm going to lift the brace and slide the hose underneath it. So you can lift it up. There you go. Okay, now we've installed the cartridges. Okay, now we're going to move on to step 7. And if you notice, we're going to tell you how to put in the T-bracket. We letter it so you know that's the correct part you're going to be putting in. You're going to do hose travel. So when you go to put the T-bracket in, I'll show you how you can position it. Now you want to push the cartridge assembly all the way over as far as you can to the left side. And we're going to bring the hose out this side. And we're going to be installing a hose bracket right in about here. Now you can see I've got a nice little bend coming up. So, and I've got the T-bracket. So I'm going to pull a little bit on the T-bracket like this. So you can see where the T-bracket is going to finally be peeled and stuck down. Right about there, because we've got a nice straight angle going to there. Now what you want to do, you make a little mark. But for now we're just going to put a piece of tape on it. Just make sure it's in the right spot. Now you can use masking tape, electrical tape, any type of tape. You got it coming up, going through. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to place the other hose bracket right down here on a slight angle. It varies from printer to printer or model to model. So just pick a good spot where you can, put the next hose bracket down. It can be on a slight angle, because here's where the interlock plug's going to go in. So I usually put it right like that, and then it'll loop out and go to the outside. So that's your next bracket. That's going to go right about here. So then you have a nice angle of the hose. You can see I already put it on there, then I'll know where to place it. Peel and stick it right down. So we can adjust this hose here in a minute. Now on the MX892, MX882, the MG series, some of the MG series, it's going to go exactly the same way. Our system works on all of those models. Okay, now I got that down. That's going to come out right here. I've already got another hose bracket lined up. And then when you shut the lid, you're going to be putting on some lid stops. Okay, now we're going to do hose travel. Let's move it back and forth. Now, here's what you're looking for. Can it go all the way to the right without pulling? Now, you see it's pulling. So that means I've got to go and do one of two things. I've got to either get more slack or move the T-bracket. So, I'm going to move the T-bracket more this way. Okay, now I've moved the T-bracket over. So that original mark I had is not going to work there. Now, some printers, it might. But on this MX series, it does not. So there I'm going to go over again. Again. Now that's good. Because I got a nice little round radius to that hose. The bracket's going to be right there. So when it goes forward, not going to be too much hose left out. So I'm going to go right there. So that's where I'm going to take my marker and mark along the edge. So I want to go right there. So now I can peel and stick it down. I'm going to flush it with the front here. The front of that T-bracket's flush right there. There we go, I stuck it down. Sometimes you want to clean these parts with a little rubbing alcohol. And the reason being is that sometimes there's oil on it from the factory. There, and I just pull tension. Now I should be able to go back and forth. No problem. Okay, now that's hose travel. You can hook up the next. You can hook this up out here if we want, or you can wait till later. So that was the instructions. Step 7. There's one more thing we're going to add. We're going to add a little jumper. Number B. Now that can be yellow, red, blue, can even be black. That is what we call the interlock jumper. Looks like this. And we're going to put it in. Now it goes in like this. The flat side goes to the left. I'm going to take the hose out of the way so you can see where we're doing it. It's a little key light thing right here. So I'm going to put, so I put it on an angle like that, we're just going to push down. There, it's in. You got to take that out anytime you want to take the cartridges out. And then we can always put the hose bracket back in. Okay, there, got it in. Now I always leave a little slack here, so when we close the lid, it'll push up like that. Won't crimp it. Okay, now we're going to go to step 8. On this okay, step 8. We're going to place the lid stops. One on the right side. Peel and stick it on the right side. And peel and stick it on the left side, just like that. Just like the photo shows. Then the next thing we're going to look for, and this is not on every printer. A lot of printers don't have it. It'll either be on the right or on the left side. It's called the lid stop. Because when this is not triggered, it won't let you use the scanner. So we give you a jumper. Goes right up in there. There it is. It looks like, just like in the photo. Now the next thing, we need something to hold this brace so when it comes down, it doesn't fall onto your paper. So we give you another little, called the lid brace. You're going to peel and stick it right there. You can check it, pick it up. As long as it touches, it's going to hold it up. You're going to peel and stick it right there. So you're going to stick the lid stops on each side, the jumper up here, and the brace holder. Okay, now I got the lid stops. Just put that on there. Now I can see how it closes. Perfect. Not going to be open too much. Go over here. I can check the hose. It's not pinched. Now we're going to go to the last step. Now this is critical in the last step. You've got to open up the air plugs in the ink bottles, and you've got to open the hose clamp before you even turn on the printer. I come over here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open it up. There. Now the only time you're going to close that is when you're filling the bottles or moving the machine. Never lift these bottles higher and put them up here. It'll flood that print head. Now you're going to open up, turn it around, open it up in the back here. Okay, I opened it. There again, these are little instructions how to fill. I'm going to show you. We mark what color goes where. So a lot of people call that red, that's magenta, cyan, yellow, pigmented black, and photo black. And now what we're going to do is open up the back plugs. Just leave them hang out. It's going to allow air to go into the isobaric air chamber and balance the ink. If you were to take out both plugs, the liquid would go into the back chamber because liquid seeks its own level. So if you ever pull out both, you got to do the balancing. And I explained it on the instructions. Okay, and this is going to filter the air right here. You never need to change this. This is the constant flow dampers that we've added. If you see a little air in the lines, just ignore it. That's not going to hurt anything. Close it up, put it next to the printer. And now we're going to get ready to turn it on. Just one thing I wanted to point out. We show you how to fill the bottles. And then the last page, we show you how to purge out air, like if you ran the bottles empty or somebody lifted them. We're going to show you how to purge out the air. We have a video up on our website that shows that. We'll give it to you there. That's what that little syringe is for. Also, make sure you save the orange clip. Okay, now I've turned it on. It's telling me the power was... Let me show you. It wasn't turned off correctly. I just touch OK. On the screen where it says letter, I'm going to go over here to setup. Say OK for maintenance. I'm going to do one cleaning. Yes. That's going to help prime everything up. I've got everything opened up. Looks good. Sits right next to the printer. This will take a minute. Then we're going to print out a nozzle check. Point out in the instructions, tell you to read. If you're having trouble with the ARC chips because of the firmware, you can take off the ARC chips. Show you how to do it. Put on your Canon chips, shut off the ink monitor, and you won't get any more error codes. And we also tell you how to do it in the 3 pages of the instructions. That's why in the kit, you see these things called glue dots. That's because our chips are not held on permanently, so it makes them easy to remove and replace. See, a lot of systems that are made out there, they melt the chip on. Once that happens, you got to throw the whole cartridge away. That's why we give you those pages. You don't have to do it if you're not having a problem. Like I say, don't fix something that's not broken. Here it comes. Here's the second time I cleaned. Looks good. Couple still on the black. But now I'm not going to do any more. I never do more than 3 cleanings. I'll set it on a high quality, and that's air. A lot of people think, oh, I must have a clog of ink in my printer. No. Anytime you see that, that's air. Or it could possibly be a bad printhead. But I know on my machine, the printhead's fine. Just that we had it sitting out overnight without any cartridges in it, so there's a lot of air in it. And that's it. That's how simple it is to do.